Located in the central west part of Latin America, Peru is the third biggest country on the South American continent. The capital of Peru, Lima, is one of the most rapid urban growth centers worldwide and has to struggle with this situation. Stepping back to the 1950s, the population of Lima has been around 1 million inhabitants, whereas today almost 9 million people live in Lima. With a growth rate of 2% per year, there will be around 13 million inhabitants in 2030. Regarding the territory, Lima is situated in a desert under extreme conditions with respect to the annual precipitation of only 9 millimeters. Water is the major concern the city has to face. Due to the limited water resources and inefficiency in their use, the research team of the so-called Project Lima aims at sustainable planning and management of one of the crucial lifetimes, water and sanitation.
We are in a desert. People don't understand that we are in a desert. People believe we are in a city like others, but we are the second desert with a city with so many people in the world.
Peru is one of the countries mostly affected by climate change in the world, and water resources in Lima are very scarce.
The city is growing every year, and because of the lack of rain and also the lack of water sources, the climate change represents a big problem for the city.
A large part of the population already today suffers from water scarcity. More than 1.5 million living in the peri-urban settlements, not being connected to water network and having rather insufficient water supply.
Y estos sistemas alternativos, digamos, fueron creados por iniciativa privada de pequeños microempresarios que tienen un camión y que, bueno, en la cisterna almacenan agua y van distribuyendo agua a estas familias que están cada vez más lejos de la ciudad y que no están conectadas a la red. Realmente son asentamientos humanos que son producto de una invasión de los pobladores cuando migran de la sierra del interior del país a la ciudad. Tiempo que se calcula más o menos 20 años en promedio para que puedan solicitar agua, se abastecen de camiones cisterna. Y estos camiones cisterna pues no presentan las condiciones necesarias para ofrecer un servicio de calidad y mucho menos una buena calidad del agua. Bueno, en realidad el tema del abastecimiento de agua por camiones cisterna en Lima tiene varios problemas, pero el más crítico para mí son dos realmente. Uno es la tarifa de agua, porque es un sistema que abastece a los más pobres de las ciudades, sin embargo, generalmente hasta más de 10 veces pueden cobrar por ese servicio de lo que se cobra en la República. Y el otro tema es la calidad del agua, ¿no? O sea, es un servicio caro que da agua de mala calidad. Entonces, y el tema de la mala calidad tiene que ver con la salud de las personas.
It is expected that the situation in the future is going to become much worse. Peru has a lot of freshwater resources. However, most of them are in the glaciers in the Andean mountains, and the glaciers are melting as an effect of climate change.
El agua, debido a la escasez hídrica de Lima metropolitana, el agua es captada en los Andes a través de los deshielos, precipitaciones, es captada en estos embalses y es distribuida o transportada a través de diferentes ríos y canales, que juega un gran papel en la disposición de agua de la ciudad de Lima, es el río Rímac.
So the people living in Lima Callao, they don't consider water as a scarce source. They don't see water as a problem. They have their swimming pools, they wash their cars with drinking water, they irrigate their green areas, their parks, etc. with drinking water. No? I think it's a problem not of social situation if you're rich or if you're poor.
We think that it's easy to have water in our pipes. It's not easy. And people say, why we have to pay for water? We need to understand why people think in that way.
The Rio Rimac has lots of problems also because of contamination of industries that are situated along the river.
alta y en la parte media. El Callao recibe todos estos problemas más que nada en aspectos de contaminación y también de descargas.
Los que generan, pues, por el uso, el servicio de agua, pues aguas residuales, las cuales al no ser tratadas estarían contaminando y actualmente lo están contaminando nuestras aguas del mar. Y actualmente también hay zonas donde algunos agricultores, ante la escasez de agua, están cultivando productos de pan llevar con agua del desagüe, realmente es crudo.
Very low percentage of treated wastewater in Peru. We have more or less 20% of the total wastewater produced that is treated. The collaboration with the German partners has two parts mainly. One part that is basically training, and the other part that is application of technologies to solve a problem in one city. One of these projects that we have now in lab scale will be done in a real scale in many parts of Lima, because they don't use too much area, they don't use too much energy, so and they produce a very good quality of water.
Yeah, the situation of water and wastewater in Lima is quite complicated, partly because the system is very large and very complex, providing more than 8 million people with services, or sometimes not providing the services. But also the topic is very complex, many different impact factors, population growth, measures to be taken, construction of reservoirs and so on.
Well, the system in the city, the institutions involved, and the water problems are very, very much, complicated, but also managed in a complex way. We have diverse institutions, they are fragmented, they are sectoralized too much. Peru is a centralized country, too much too. And it's, the municipalities manage less than 30% of the budget, of the whole budget in the city. 70% managed by different sectors and ministries. And they are investing and deciding over the city. We always say that the second mayor of Lima is the president of Peru.
We have one municipality of Lima, for example, but 42 district municipalities. So each of these 42 district municipalities have a major.
And that means a lot of complicated things, because there is overlapping, there is even conflicts between different institutions of different level of governments, and there is also, of course, a budget that is misused, because somebody comes and paves the road, and then somebody else comes and then they, make a hole in the road because they need to build a pipe for the water, and then somebody come and make a illegal connection to the water system, and also the pavement is broken again, and then the telephone company do the same, and then.
But how to enable the stakeholders to discuss about potential future developments, and how to discuss on a sound basis different potential options to tackle this situation. And since the system is so complex, we developed a computer-based simulation model, modeling the entire water and wastewater system to analyze, to study interactions which are not so obvious on the first glance, but using a model it's possible to see them, to discuss them, and also to illustrate them. To illustrate to different people, to different institutions, how the water system reacts under different assumptions and measures.
We were working on development of scenarios for Lima in the year 2040. In these scenarios, we have now the results of the scenarios. We have 5 scenarios that we also presented in this round table. And the idea of these scenarios is that the people can see what should happen to Lima. So we have to make like a plan, like a roadmap, what should be done today, 2012-13, and what 2020, 2030, and etc. And that is what we are doing now in the last months of the project. So the action plan for Lima and Callao is a result from the combination of LIVA tool, the simulation tool, scenario analysis that we have done together with the Peruvian partners, and the roundtables. So in a city like Lima, I think you can't copy or adapt city planning or living standards from other European or American countries or cities. You have here in Lima a specific situation regarding water, and that's why you should implement or design specific also planning strategies adapted to the city. And that's why our colleagues, they are also working on this topic of how the city should plan all these open spaces.
We created this topic or this label, ecological infrastructure strategy, to illustrate that it is necessary to interlink various planning levels as well as institutions, and in a strategic manner. So with that park, we try to consider the situation that there's only some time in the year water, like the river bank is different. It's not just a protecting wall against the river, but it has various levels, so that you have a flooding area. Then when it's dry, you can use it for the park. We have in other parts, we make use of the grey water from, let's say, there will be sports facilities, so the grey water from the showers, etc., that can be reused for urban gardening. That is one of the ideas. Our vision for the park is to show practically, not didactically with any maps, but really practical how it works. So people should always see how the water is treated. And we hope also, of course, with these ideas to persuade people to protect the area as agricultural area. Because in the end, it should not only be the park that is there and maybe nice and shows good ideas of how to make use of water, but the whole landscape is something which is worth protecting. And when you look at the map of Lima, you will hardly find any agricultural land left. And it is the basis for why people actually live here. And you don't see anything, that's not okay. So we think this could be one really nice spot to show the Lima people about the origin why people settle here.